What you doing that's so important? I've been drinking so much. I'ma call her anyway and say. Anyways, what's going on, chat? Um, Today was honestly a very, very um unfortunate loss, and it was pretty unfortunate. I think what I want to start to do is genuinely what you would call it. I do want to start to identify my draws on liquidity, and if price is optimal, like if I know price is gonna trade to one of my certain draws on liquidity, I would want to find an entry going to that certain draw on liquidity, and as well as trading the reaction out of that draw on liquidity, instead of just waiting for that draw on liquidity to be hit and then from there just trading the reaction at the draw on liquidity. But I mean that's something I'll probably have to backtest, so we'll probably see on how I feel. I don't really like trading pre-market, um, but I don't know. That's just something to really think about. But other than that, let's get on right into the video. Today, I took a loss, and I also took a win, an accidental win. Although it was gonna be a break-even day, but I mean a break-even win. But I accidentally closed all my positions when I meant to close one and move stocks to break even. So I mean, I'll count that as a win. And even though my take profit did get hit, so let's get right on into it. Let's talk about ES first, because this is the trade that actually kind of hurt me the most, to be honest. Coming into today, see, I low-key think this is where I didn't mess up on, but I do think I could have played this a little bit more better. But my point of view was a little bit, hopefully you guys can understand where I'm coming from. But coming into today on ES, so we had a crazy up buy from London session, alpha of Asia session. We had a crazy extended buy. My daily bias was honestly bearish, although we were bullish on the 4 hour, and although we were bullish on the hourly. Excuse me. Um, my only reason of me being bearish was due to just all buy side liquidity being swept during pre-market, and we only have one, really just one more important drawn liquidity, which was CPI data which was CPI data highs. That was one of my extended draws in liquidity, followed by a 15-minute high that news made today, core retail sales, which was bullish news. Um, so best thing we could really do is just explain my thought process on why I was bearish. And yeah, so coming into the 5 minute, right? Well, coming into today, we had that extended up buy, and what I failed to realize is that we created imbalances, but we already filled them. So, with that in mind, I was thinking, okay, besides us filling in these imbalances, we have all these high time frame draws and liquidity that price could genuinely sweep out after taking out buy side liquidity, because after taking out buy side liquidity there was really no more um important uh not really important, no more prominent buy draws and liquidity on buy side. I mean, we had this 4 hour gap, 4 hour bearish gap that price wanted to come and fill in. We also had this 4 hour gap that price is respecting, and then I'm filling in this gap. It looks like we're getting some bearish confirmation out. But other than that, we had CPI data highs. We also had retail cores data highs. And other than that, that was the only draws in liquidity that were prominent to me being bearish on the day. And if we were to switch up and be bullish, I would honestly see no idea where price would even want to target, because like I said, there's no really substantial draws in liquidity besides just filling in this imbalance. Besides filling in this imbalance, which we already did prior. I mean, not prior, which we already did in the last 4 hours. But with that in mind, my whole mindset today was honestly bearish, because we had just a lot of like sell side liquidity just being here, and that was basically what my whole trade was based off of. So coming into today, we had this 15-minute data high right here. I don't know if you can see, but this was on the 15-minute right here. This was the 15-minute. price ended up coming to fill in this imbalance from news. Ended up getting a bearish closure out, which was honestly what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a reaction out of this in order for price to manipulate higher, taking out all substantial draws on liquidity before we saw a move to the downside. And that's exactly what we got. We took out data highs. We took out data highs. We took out, excuse me. We also took out CPI news data, and then from there we created a 5-minute SMT on Nasdaq as well. And from there, that's what I was honestly looking at. I was like, okay. And this is where things started to get rough. Um, I wouldn't really say get rough, but this is where things actually started to like low-key like take a turn for the worst, I guess you could say. After making this 5-minute SMT, price had a crazy accumulation range throughout here. We did nothing besides just accumulate on the higher time frames. In the 15-minute, if you look, we completely did nothing besides just not even like want to know where we were going. This whole area of just accumulating orders was just honestly um a red sign for me. But like I said, I really wanted, not like I said, but I really wanted, not really wanted. Let me stop. Let me not use that type of word to incorporate that into marry my bias mental. But what I was personally looking for was a displacement to the downside before seeing any retracements back up in order to take out these draws in liquidity. But by the time I noticed we made this 5-minute SMT, Nasdaq was already on its way to these draws in liquidity, which I had prior one C being taken out. We were already way too far. By the time the macro hit, it was already 10 o'clock. We were already way too far from these draws in liquidity. And besides it being a Monday, although it was high impact news, I wasn't really seeing why price would even come down all the way down to these draws in liquidity. And that brings me on down to my hourly bias, which, like I said, price came in, filled in this hourly imbalance multiple times, and held up pretty strongly, which is why I guess price decided to keep rallying it back up to the fair value gap that I was talking about. But yeah, back to ES. However, we made this 5-minute SMT. We ended up consolidating for a good amount of time. We ended up creating a 5-minute order block in this stance right here. So 5-minute order block, and in order for this 5-minute order block to be valid, I was also looking for a displacement as well as a 5-minute break structure. And we ended up getting that huge displacement, violent displacement, as well as the 5-minute market structure shift. In turn, encouraging us back down to the bear side. And me personally, I was like, okay, this is something I'll be willing to scale down to until the 1 hour. I mean, until the 1 minute, and look for plausible entries. So we ended up, after displacing from that order block, we ended up coming down, creating a fair value gap in the mix. I decided to enter off the closure below. Turn on my executions. Right here, I ended up deciding to enter from. Unfortunately, we did not close bearish, which was honestly one of my main mistakes. We ended up closing bullish, which was honestly one of my main mistakes. Now looking at it, we did not close bearish. So we ended up closing bullish, and I was in an instant drawdown. And then price ended up flooding to the downside for a little bit. Almost hit my take profit one, and then I would have moved stops to break even. And these were the 15-minute highs from pre-market that I was talking about. Right here, these were 15-minute highs. These were literally technically these were data highs. These were an extensional draw on liquidity that I really want to see, get taken out before we start seeing more moves to the downside. And price ended up stopping me out. I think due to the fact that, excuse me, I think due to the fact that I had a really tight stop loss. I mean, maybe since we had the 5-minute PDRA, which was my order block, I think what would have been best for me to even do was to possibly, I mean, I still would have got stopped out either way, but maybe, okay, hold up, to put my stop like above, like right here on like maybe waited for a retracement back into the 5-minute PDRA before I kept scaling down. Would have had a way plausible entry. Let's go down. Let's see, we got the 1-minute confirmation out, and then we also had a order block, not order block. We also had a 1 minute uh 1 minute fill, but again, we did not even close bearish on this. So I mean, I don't even know what else would even been like perfect here. We also had another 1 minute order block right here that we ended up getting huge displacement down. Well, we got a closure from the downside. We ended up getting a reversal back up, and then we ended up getting a bearish closure out. So I mean, this honestly probably would have been. I would have probably kept it right here. This honestly would have been tough as well, and then targeted all the same things that I wanted to target. But I mean, like I said, we all live. We live in we live in we live and we learn. Um, Now looking at this trade, I do realize my mistakes, and we're gonna start to fix it for tomorrow. So yeah, we had that 1 minute 1 minute fair value gap. I entered off it, closed bearish. I mean, it closed bullish. I entered off of it, which was one rookie mistake that I shouldn't have done. Um, and we were honestly close to hitting my take profit area, take profit one. So I would move stocks to break even. It would have been a risk-free trade. And from there, price ended up rallying, stopping me out, retracing heavily on the 5 minute. Um, Retracing heavily, come and fill in this bearish imbalance as well as to come and fill in this bearish order block before we, flooded the face back down to the downside and continued to chop even more. What we call it? What I also noticed is that this 5 minute bullish imbalance right here was a very strong area of resistance. I'm not saying that, but I mean, it was technically a strong area of resistance, not really support. It's a strong area of drawn liquidity. Compared to the fact that price had way too many buy orders in this imbalance, definitely had a lack of sell orders, which is the reason why price kept pushing. Price out of this range multiple times into the bullish side. I do think, however, if we did have enough sell orders, inverting this gap, I do think price would have wanted to continue to keep on going down lower to data lows and London session lows. But yeah, that's also what I noticed. I think something else I could have noticed was just the fact that today was just really just a day of just not really clean price action. I mean, price action was clean, like it was readable for me, but I think due to the fact that we had this huge accumulation range right here, that huge accumulation range wasn't really suitable for me, and I decided to still take a trade. Although I should have just been very very patient and waited. I've seen multiple like undecided on where price wanted to even draw towards. After seeing that, I should have just been very very patient, waited for like an actual plausible good setup, and then continue to go on with my day. Um, and that's pretty much what pretty much why my buys for today was bearish. Literally, I just want to see all these draws and liquidity get taken out as well, and my standard deviation was literally used perfectly because we had the manipulation, we had the 5 minute internal manipulation taking out, what we call it, taking out all buy side, as well as we had the manipulation like converting from that 5 minute breaker structure, which was right here on this red line, right, right here on this red line as well, and that is pretty much all I needed. And then price came in and targeted the standard deviation range of 2 to 2.5, which it did, well barely, but it hit, and then price continued on rallying up to the upside, to the bull side. But one key note to really realize my take profits would have been the 50% mark of this 5 minute fair value gap. Also the beginning of this 5 minute order block would have been my take profit three. I would have put right here. Take profit three would have been my order block right here. Okay. Uh, one key thing to really realize, one key thing that I've noticed a lot is that with a lot of these strong Drake imbalances, price seems to hold itself up, and we weren't really getting any like strong bearish confirmation. Like we had that bearish SMT, yes, we had the bearish 5 minute breaker structure, we had bearish confluences in order for my whole bias to even be correct. But just due to this whole 5 minute resistant um resistant imbalance that price wasn't letting um bear structure like fall through or like break through. It wasn't my cup of tea, I guess you could say. Um and was honestly a key reason why I got stopped. As you can see here, we ended up pushing through, pushing through the 5 minute. Price ended up closing below the 5 minute, rallying up into the 5 minute bullish bearish order block, and then from there we ended up flooding to the downside, hitting two of my take profits before we ended up again rallying back up to the upside. Um yeah, on the hourly, same thing. Price also made a breaker block right here. We ended up getting multiple supports from it from the breaker block. Price ended up retracing back into it multiple times before we continued seeing legs up. Um, yeah, I do think this was a solid trade. I do think, however, my entry was messed up in the fact that I just wasn't more I guess you could say patient. I guess I should have waited for like a retracement back into my 5 minute PD array, and then followed by another 1 minute entry, so that way it would have been safe. Because as you see here, like we made we got our closure out. However, it was such a violent closure out. We didn't. It wasn't enough for price to in order. It wasn't enough for price to continue its retracement back onto the upside. I think that's where I messed up on, and that's something I do want to start to incorporate. Like whenever I see a 5 minute PD array, I do want to see at least 1 minute order flow, 1 minute order flow, or at least 1 minute, or at least 5 minute order flow. Uh, retrace back into the retrace back into the PD array before I see a closure out, and then I'll be more comfortable because at least that tells me, okay, we already retraced back into that same PD array before we want to continue in our wave pattern that we want to go below. Going on to Nasdaq is going to be quick and easy. We had this inverse fair value gap right here, and we ended up, like I said, having a huge accumulation zone throughout this whole area right here, and ended up having the huge violent displacement to the downside, as well as creating again literally creating bearish order block. Ended up not retracing into it. Hold on. Did we retrace into it? One quick second. No, we did not. Price did not retrace into this order block. However, we did make a violent displacement out of this whole accumulation area, whatever you want to call it, accumulation. Um, excuse me. And from there, I literally scaled down. We made a 5 minute PD array, which was this 5 minute imbalance. I scaled down to the 1 minute, looking for entries. My first take profit was these 5 minute lows, 5 minute market open lows right here, 5 minute market open lows, followed by right here data lows. Um, these were my only draws in liquidity for Nasdaq, considering the fact that we had the SMT and Nasdaq was moving faster than ES, as you can obviously see. So this was the trade that I wanted to be in and out in, and this is where it kind of hurts the most. Um, so I entered. This was really just the one-to-one trade. My original thought idea was I entered off the candle closure. Well, I entered off the candle closure out of what you call it, bearish candle closure out right here, bearish candle closure out. So I entered off the next candle. Price ended up flooding to the downside. I was only in this trade for like literally like a couple of minutes, like literally like 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Um, what I wanted to do originally, my original plan was to literally have my take profit to these data lows, but when price hit my take profit one, I don't know how to set like automatic like limits on TradingView, so I literally just try to close it out manually because I just like closing it out manually. And I accidentally, when you go to close a position on TradingView and you type in the number, I accidentally didn't press backspace. I just pressed enter. I like pressed one and then enter. Um, okay, bro. Like, what are we doing? I pressed one and then enter, and then I didn't press one and enter. Literally, and it closed out all my positions right here on my first take profit, and I was like, dang, like that's unfortunate. Um, overall, I probably would have got stopped out because my what you would call it, my stop loss was in between this 5 minute. I mean, it was literally on the beginning of this 1 minute inverse, not 1 minute inverse, this 1 minute imbalance because price was already accumulating a lot throughout this imbalance, and then after we got bearish closure and then another violent displacement. I saw no reason for price to continue up here unless we, swapped out these draws in liquidity before we saw a reversal, which is exactly what we did. We swapped out pre-market lows, well, market open lows, which was a good draw in liquidity, low resistance draw in liquidity for me, and then what did we get after that? We got end up seeing a reversal, filling in more of this imbalance, filling in more of the 1 minute imbalance, but as well filling in this 5 minute imbalance, and then what did we get after that? We got boom displacement to the downside as well as a bearish candle. I meant bearish closure, and on top of that, we ended up hitting all of my take profits, which was honestly very unfortunate because I did want to see data lows get taken out, and my bias was honestly correct on Nasdaq data. Well, for the day in general, data lows were taken out because this was a good draw on liquidity um for me, and yeah, this was honestly pretty unfortunate. Although, if I did take out partials, I would have gotten stopped out, break even. Overall, I'll take the W. So 1-1 on the week. But yeah, going on to tomorrow, I do know what I need to get better at from today. I think the number one most important problem for me was the fact that I didn't wait for a retracement into my 5 minute PD array, or at least like not a 5 minute retrace, but at least a lower time frame retrace into my higher time frame PD array, and then confirmation out of that before I actually want to enter off of a trade. Um, but other problem was the fact that instead of a bearish closure, we got a bullish closure, and in turn, we entered straight into drawdown, which was again my mistake. But yeah. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm definitely gonna post this later. Well, I'm literally gonna post this right now when I'm going on my walk right now on my TikTok. Hope you guys enjoyed. TikTok.com/trades. I've been appreciating the love there. I've been like growing really consistently. Like I enjoy my slow, consistent grow. Like I'm literally like averaging a follower a week, and they all seem to be enjoying my content. Interacting with me. So if you guys want to interact with me, ask me any questions. What I go through as an unprofitable day trader, trying to see myself get better. Just let me know. I'm always there. My DMs are literally open on my TikTok. I don't have Instagram. For now, I deleted all of that until I can establish a nice brand before I go back to my Instagram. But yeah, I mean, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll see you guys tomorrow in tomorrow's recap. Um, Overall, 1-1 of the week so far, all good. We're getting back tomorrow. Tomorrow we have. Okay, tomorrow's gonna be pretty good. Wednesday I'm not trading FOMC. Thursday unemployment claims, but because of FOMC, price market's gonna be a bit shaky, so I'll just be very very patient when it comes Thursday. Friday, it'll be pretty good for Friday. So yeah. That being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you guys. Peace.